Next, we got Oregon, a 21.5-point favorite against a ranked Illinois team.
Wow.
Can you believe that line?
That's a big
insane.
number. That is a big number. Dame, we'll start with you. Who's your dog for this one?
So my dog is going to be Oregon, their offense and these receivers, Dylan Riley, really this passing game as a whole. And how are they going to start to hit these explosive plays against a really, really good Illinois defense? And I'm going to tell you how. It's not going to be by going for the chunk plays. It's not going to be for the big posts, the deep shots, the 20-yard completions. Illinois' defense is really, really good at playing what some people call elbow defense. You bend, but you don't break. You keep guys back. You don't let the ball get behind you, and you just make teams drive. A team like Oregon, who is good, but like make them show you. You make them drive, play after play after play, 12-play drive. That's how you play good defense. You don't let anything get behind you. But here's where Oregon has an advantage. Illinois blitzes, they've got the 10th highest blitz rate in all of the country at 39%. How do you beat that? By hitting quick, hot routes behind it. Get the receivers in quick routes. And then once you get behind these blitzers and once you find these open spots, then the run after catch opportunity becomes huge. Then you take a 5-yard slant, a 5-yard hit, you break one tackle. Next thing you know, you're getting tackled 40, 50 yards later. You might even be able to score. So I think if Oregon's offense is Dylan Gabriel, if they can communicate and pick up these blitzes, because Illinois is going to send them, if they can pick them up, if they communicate and have guys get open in a quick manner and Dylan Gabriel can get them the ball, they'll have all the opportunity in the second and third level to get those big explosive chunk plays and then really run up the score like we're used to seeing from these Oregon offenses.
I think it's a great point because they've got the perfect personnel to do this. And, you know, we talked a lot about exactly. We talked a lot about Evan Stewart all off season, and I think he does give them a vertical threat. But Tez Johnson, all 5'10", 165 pounds, soaking wet of the kid. He's been Dylan Gabriel's favorite target, and he's been a guy that has played a ton of football. He's got 57 catches this year, and he's a guy they use a lot in the screen game, and he's a guy that is so shifty. And I think you're right, Dame, that if you can get him on the outside, if you like your numbers, and they're going to bring 5, 6, maybe 7 guys, this is a guy that it's hard to get him square and knock him out. And you know, he doesn't have the same, you know, when you watch him run routes versus, you know, Evan Stewart, you're not saying, oh man, like this guy is unbelievable, but he's one of those guys that's tough to get your hands on in a phone booth. And they use him so much in that screen game. I think that's going to be huge for them in this game.
What I want to know, like, can Illinois muck this up? You know, like you look at their stats defensively, they're not really good in much of anything. Like they're not making the TFLs and the sacks despite blitzing so much. They're not great in the red zone. They're not great on third down, but they're 13th in turnover margin. And to what Dame's point, they allow one play of 30 plus yards per game. That's 11th best in the country. They are making you go the length of the field. And that's what they're going to have to try to do here. Like I looked up the box score with Penn State, because like that's probably the most comparable team that they've played, a top 5 team, you know, with good quarterback and whatnot. And the longest play Penn State had in that game was 20 yards. Now there were some there was a 10-yard run and an 11-yard run. So they kind of got those medium plays, but Penn State couldn't finish drives. They missed 1 or 2 field goals in that game, needed a touchdown late to win 21-7. So Illinois has just kind of been playing to their opponent and getting the big plays at the right time. Can you do that on the road when you're traveling across the country and you're going to have the time zone whole deal? So, yeah, but Illinois has been much better this year than I've expected.
For me, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, to Chris's point, you know how they can muck it up is by punching the ball out, because they are top 10 in the country in forced fumbles right now. So just like I talked about they're 5th in the country with enforced fumbles. So like I was talking about earlier, if Oregon, just because Oregon catches these guys in blitzes, they can get 30, 40 yards down the field and somebody come punch it out. That can completely ruin a drive for Oregon's offense. So yeah, to your point, that's exactly how they can muck it up. And that's how they've been doing it so far for a lot of teams.
I really like Illinois to keep this close. I do think this line is a little insulting to the Illini. I think people just assume that Oregon is just scoring at will, and they're not. And this is a team that's going to be able to slow them down. And I don't think that they're going to be a team that's going to slow down this running game. And on top of that, you know, Luke Altmaier's been really good. Mistake-free football. He's one of 2 quarterbacks in the country this year, along with Alonzo Barnett, James Madison, with 15 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's a guy that's grown up a lot since the first time that we saw him. And he's a guy that is really paying off for Illinois at this point. And I think he plays well enough. They do muck it up enough that this game is tight. I think Oregon doesn't necessarily feel like any point in the second half they're going to lose, but they're not covering this.
As I looked at it, the line jumped out. 21.5-point favorite is a lot, but I'm going to go with Oregon covering because maybe you don't count on that turnover luck. And you got to travel across, and that hasn't been going great. I'm going to go Oregon to win this big and kind of get back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Oregon to win just because I think, as we've seen right now, other than Georgia, Oregon is the best team in the country right now. But Illinois definitely covers the spread. There's no way that they lose by more than 21.5 points. I mean, they're going to keep this game close. And I think that it will be. I think it will be one of those games where Oregon is down in the fourth quarter trying to figure out, like, are we going to win this game? It's going to be close. It's going to be tight. But they do find a way to pull it out.